guys, today we're going to talk about two of my strongest passions, cake and my children. I have 4 boys, as most of you know, and my third little boy, Reid, is his birthday, and we are making him a dinosaur cake. He is the sweetest little boy that you could ever meet on this planet. He has blonde hair, blue eyes, and he's always caring about someone else, and we just wanted to make this day special for him, so we picked his favorite theme, which is dinosaurs. So I'm going to make 3 large dinosaur eggs. By doing that, I'm going to use 6-inch round layers. I'm going to stack them about 4 layers high, and then I'm going to carve an egg out of those layers. So after I'm done carving my eggs, I'll put them in the freezer for about an hour. That gets them good and firm and chilled, and then I'll put a crumb coat on the outside to seal in all the crumbs, and it'll be ready to put fondant over them. Alright, so now we're going to start with a nest, and all I did was I took 2 large round layers and I stacked them on top of each other. Then I began to carve out the middle of the nest, which automatically forms nest. And then I began to save all my crumbs, because I'm going to use those later, by adding a little bit of icing to them. And then I mash all of that cake together, all the crumbs of the cake, with a little bit of buttercream icing, and that forms kind of a moldable cake dough-like, if you will. Then I take that dough and then I begin to patch around the cake. I just make different textures and kind of add some depth and texture to the nest. At that point, I crumb coat the entire nest, outside, inside, all the nooks and crannies, everywhere. That way it has a good sticky substance for the fondant to adhere to. So now I'm going to color my fondant. I'm going to give it like a tan base color. That way when I go back and airbrush it, it's not over white, and you'll see why later on. After I color my fondant and then cover the nest with the fondant, I'm going to go back and add some texture. The way that I do that is I use my fingers and I'll pinch some of the fondant in different ways, just to kind of add what looks like roots and just mounds and lumps to the nest to make it more realistic. And I also have a tool that I kind of cut into it to make it look like there's some just deep creases. Alright, so the next thing I did was I airbrushed the nest, and I started out with using a lighter brown, and then I just began to layer the colors. I layer like deeper browns mixed with some blacks and olives and greens, just to give it that real dirt look to the nest. Then I take a damp washcloth and I'll go back over the parts that stick out the most. That's why I want the base of my fondant to be like a tan color instead of white, because when I go and wipe that color off, that's the color that you're going to see, is that tan on the bottom. So it just adds a lot of depth and a lot of texture to the nest. Alright, so after the complete structure of my cake is finished, then I go back and add the cool details. And how I do that, I added some claws that are kind of breaking out of an egg. I took some gum paste, a small ball of gum paste, and then I roll it out into a long thin tube, and then I take it and I take my fingers like so, and I kind of pinch part of the long tube. That's going to make the knuckle of the claw. So I do that twice in 2 different locations, and then I lay them out kind of like that so they can dry and harden, so it's like they're coming climb. Next off, I'm making the head of the dinosaur, and this was pretty fun. I took just modeling chocolate and then I just molded it into a dinosaur head, and then I go back and add the fine little details. That's the cool thing about modeling chocolate, is it's just awesome. You can just keep adding to it and sculpting, and made it as realistic as I possibly could. After that, it dries, and then I go back and I do the final touches with painting it, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Now the very last detail, which is probably my favorite, is the yucky part. So how I did that was I took some jelly, which I think I used Mayhaw jelly, which is kind of a clear, yellowish clear jelly, And then I add red food coloring, and I don't mix it in all the way. I just kind of streak it through the mayhaw jelly, and then I take it with a brush and then I start dabbing it on the nose of the dinosaur and begin to let it drip off of the dinosaur's face. So it looks pretty nasty. It's pretty realistic looking. So the best part about making a cake is when it's revealed to the person that it was made for. And in our family, we have a tradition. My husband takes the birthday boy out for lunch and then takes him to buy a book at the bookstore. And then he comes home and the party's waiting on him. Everybody's here ready to go and celebrate. So they walk in and that's when the reveal happens. So take a look at this awesome reveal for our birthday boy, Reid. Happy birthday!
What do you think? Because it's nasty?
So I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I had a blast making this cake for my little boy. If it was helpful to you, just like, subscribe, and share. And if you have any comments or questions, please leave them in the comment box below and be looking out for the next video.